reaching the upper 40s. More clouds on the way for the overnight, lows in the lower 30s. Thursday in the morning, we may see just a few sprinkles or a little bit of light rain. Otherwise, morning clouds will clear out, highs in the lower 50s in the late day, mid-50s Friday. That's the forecast on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. It's 42 at our studios.
And it is Wednesday. It's the noon hour. That means it is time for Senior Talk, which is brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits. And here is your host, Rex Brandstatter.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, it is time for Senior Talk today. What a beautiful day in, we're going to call it mid-February, just about. We're just about there. So we're going to take that. Lots of things going on. We're going to talk about those, and I just wanted to say welcome to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day. Great day to be here with you. Great day to be a senior, and if you're on track to become a senior, keep at it. Keep going. The years will go by so fast when you're a senior. You want to know, how did I get here so fast? So that's what happens. So in the introduction there, in the news, they talked about the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know one Pittsburgh Penguins hockey fan, our own Tommy Lang. He's got a Pittsburgh Penguins decal on his phone. He's a deep diving Pittsburgh Penguin fan. Now you all know a Pittsburgh Penguin fan right here in Iowa City. Speaking of Iowa City, when I came in, the handy-dandy treat jar out at the front desk out there had a whole bunch of Russell Stover little candies. Complimentary. At least I think it was complimentary. I took one. I better find out if it's complimentary or not. Russell Stover is a little mint type of thing. It was really good. The historian in me wants to ask you a question. Russell Stover. Where did Russell Stover start his business? And where is considered the hometown at the inception of Russell Stover? Well, raise your hands. I don't see too many hands, maybe one in the back. Russell Stover Candy is widely known as starting its life in Iowa City. Now, local historians might tell you, and they could possibly be correct, that he started in a little town called South Liberty, which was directly west of Hills, Iowa, and then moved to Iowa City, probably for deliveries or labor or something. I don't know. That's the story. So Russell Stover Candy, I read this before, so it's not something that Rex is dreaming up here. It started in Iowa City, and when they sold out, I don't know. But if I recall the story, he and his daughter were main players in Russell Stover Candy, right? Russell Stover chocolates, right here in Iowa City. Wow, interesting for sure. Well, I'd like to say hello to each and every one of you in the middle of winter, we're going to call it here. And thanks to each one of you for taking time out of your busy day. And I consider this the perfect time to take a break, grab a sandwich and a nice cold root beer and join in. Let's see what we've got going. As you know, I'll do my very best to bring a myriad of topics and ideas every week that might cover important aspects of being or becoming a senior someday. Some might be important to you or your family or friends. Some might kind of kick you in the rear end, to call to action, we would call it, on a few things here that maybe, I didn't think about that, or, my brother did that, or I should tell my brother about that for sure. So that's what I do, and just so you know, my name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm a 76-year-old real estate broker, and I like to meet, work with, and talk with seniors, and I do it every day, all the time. I help lots and lots of seniors buy houses, buy condos, sell homes, downsize. We call it right size. Your home just doesn't work for you anymore. We can find you something. At sometimes, if you're a senior, it makes more sense it might make more sense to sell and rent. You don't have to buy. There's no taxes if you don't rebuy. That went the wayside in the early 90s. So the bottom line is we just need to talk. So if you're considering some ideas, maybe 1 to 3 years or something, you've got something up your sleeve, you're going to relocate, or you've determined here within the next year your house just doesn't work. Maybe there's a health issue and your house really doesn't work and you need to get on it. Feel free to give me a call. My senior line for you is 319-330-5534. 330-5534, and we'll see what and if I can help you. Now, I should tell you that I work with seniors, of course. I work with administrators of estates, executors of estates. What's the difference? What's the difference between an administrator and an executor? An administrator of an estate is the same thing as an executor, but he's appointed by the court because the person who passed away did not have a will. So if you don't have a will, then somebody has to go or petition the court and get a judge to review the person who might be appointed by the court, not by the person who's passed away. They didn't take the time to create a will, so they die what's called intestate. Testate means they had a will. If he died, Mrs. Smith died of intestate, she did not have a will, and the court looks out as to who is going to administer that estate. Therefore, the name administrator. If you die with a will, that's called testate, and you named Fred Jones, your old buddy Fred Jones, or your wife to be your executor, or your brother, or your Uncle Fred, or something like that. You took the time, you took the initiative to get a will and distribute the funds and your holdings as you want them. Now, under the I'm not an attorney, but under the administrator type thing, pretty tight knit deal with the courts in Iowa as to where the funds can go, where properties can go. It doesn't necessarily get to go where the dead person wants it to go. That's the penalty you pay for not doing the will. So get busy for sure. Well, I would say, and just like that, football is gone for a few months, and what an ending. That was the most boring game I've ever seen. If you're a Seahawk fan, more power to you. You guys are world champions, and you get the big ring, including our own Mason Richmond, who's a rookie with the Seahawks, and I don't know if Mason got to play. I don't know that. But regardless, he's an official. He's all dressed for the game, and he gets a big ring his first year, just like Cooper DeJean did. So more power to the Seahawks. If you're a Patriots fan, I say you guys are in shambles. And they didn't play well at all. They didn't even get off the bus, as far as I'm concerned. And my question to you is, how did they get there? I saw many teams over the course of the fall that would have played a lot better game. So you get what you get. When you get there, you got to play. And it just didn't happen. But let's give all the kudos to Seahawks for shutting down the Patriots' offense and passing game and stuff like that. That's the way to go with that. Well, that's what we're going to do. So let me think this through now, folks. Let's see. There's no football. Not many local people watch the NBA, as far as I know. Once in a while, I'll catch a little bit of a game. So by the calendar, there's a sport that's even bigger, even more popular, and it's ready to start. So I'm hereby declaring on behalf of all the staff here at KCJJ and all my friends, all my baseball friends, the 4 words that we look forward to. This is official. It's time for someone from the higher up to mention these words. So I'm going to consider myself the higher up. It's time for spring is here. It's time for baseball. So with these 4 words, let's kick it off here. Pitchers and catchers report. Those are the 4 words. Pitchers and catchers report. And if you're a baseball fan, you know what that means. The spring training is now open. Spring training is ready, and the teams always want the pitchers and catchers to get there first, kind of get organized and get going, because they work so hard with the pitchers and catchers because they're in on every play. So down in Arizona and in Florida, all the teams, all the major league teams are there. Let's talk about the White Sox. The White Sox called their guys in. They had to report yesterday. The Cubs report today. The Giants reported yesterday. The Padres reported yesterday. I think the Twins report today. So by this weekend, by tomorrow, on Thursday now, all the teams will have spring training open. And as you know, they bring all the guys they want to be on the team or try out by invitation only. You and I can't show up with our dusty old car from Iowa and try to make a team. Can't do that. And then from there, they have spring training at their complexes, and then if you're the Twins, you get to make the major league team. You get to go to Cedar Rapids and play our minor league team. You get to go to one of our other minor league teams, and that's the way they do it, sorted out. So then during the year, if your center fielder has a bad ankle, they call the guy up from AAA, wherever their AAA. The Dodgers, I'm a Dodger fan, their AAA team is down in Oklahoma City. So they call the guy up for that. So that's the way it's going to work. It's time for pitchers and catchers report. More power to me, the baseball fan, and to you, the baseball fan. Absolutely. It's just a wonderful time of year. It's spring training. You know, we had the Groundhog Day to make us all speak of spring, and that's what we're doing. And this weather is actually cooperating at the present time. Don't get your hopes up that it'll stay like this forever. That would be we've been here many times, So, well, I've sold many homes to people over the year who moved here to the Iowa City area to take part in Iowa sports year round, and a lot of people who are retiring here in order to be close to the university, sports, and the UIHC, and that's as good a reason as any. I've sold many homes to people because either their daughter is going to school here, or their son is on staff here, or staff and or faculty, that type of thing. And they want to get close to the grandkids, close to their kids. And oh, by the way, there's good sports. The retirement is here, walking trails, all these things, and bus service to most of the areas. It's a pretty good place to retire, except for two things. And the two things that would hold me back from retiring here would be January and February. Maybe you retire here, but then you don't hang around here for January and February. That would be the plan. All right. Yesterday, my wife and I, we loaded up, and with her in the last week, pounding the old calculator and putting a mountain of paperwork together, we met with our accountant. And I hope each one of you listening, are putting together your income tax papers. Not that any of us want to do that, but it's the way our system works. So we met with the CPA yesterday, and my wife had all the paperwork ready. And my job there is to sit there and shut up, because she runs all the records, and takes in all the rents, and makes all the payments and all that kind of stuff. But my job is to keep an eye out for any more legal deductions. And as I reported last week on Form 1A, on the second page of Form 1A, there's a line down there. It's not called out, but there's a line there for seniors to take an extra $6,500 deduction. So I clipped the article out. It's pretty elementary. And when I went there, I had my folder of 5 or 6 things that I ran past the CPA to see if we could take them as deductions. And he looked at that and he says, yes, you will get that. So we got an extra $6,500 in deductions before we got out of the gate. Plus, we were married, filing jointly. So we got a $31,000, $32,000 standard deduction right out of the bat. So if you made $50,000, they first right off the bat, they took, I think it's $31,500. We'll call it $30,000 for round figures. Now you're down to $20,000 to pay tax. So now you take another $6,500 off that. Wow, folks, we're getting right down there. Thank you to whoever put that tax bill through. You figure that out. So good luck to the Brandstatters. We're still going to owe money. It's just the way life is. We know it. So we'll pay it when we get there. So hope you're collecting your taxes, your tax papers, and go get them filed. That is for sure. I've seen right in there. I've seen your lady ask me, she said, what are the taxes if I sell my house? She said, I sure don't want to get wiped out. I said, well, let me ask you some questions. You own your home? Yes, we do. Yes, I do. She didn't say we. She said, yes, I do. And you're considering selling? Yes, I am. I will consider selling. I'm considering selling. But I don't know if I really want to do it, because maybe I'll have to pay a whole bunch of taxes. Like, I don't know if they call them capital gains tax or what they call them. I said, well, here's the deal. According to the Tax Reform Act, if you are a single person, you can take, I believe it's up to, it was $12,500, but it's a little higher than that. Now I'm going to call it still $12,500. She gets to take $12,500 off her standard. That's called standard deduction. She gets to deduct that from her income. So let's say she made $50,000 last year. So she takes $12,500 off of that. She's down to $37,500 that she can pay tax on. Now, if she's a senior, which I believe she is, she gets that same $6,500 I got to take, and she gets that. They only get one, by the way. If your man and wife are both seniors, you only get one. This lady gets to take that down. So now she's down to, where did I leave off? She's down to about $31,000 of income. So now we'll call it 30. So now she's paying taxes on 30 rather than 50. And I said, guess what? When you sell, those are income taxes. When you sell your home, if you're single, filing singly, obviously, the first $250,000 in profit is tax-free. So let's say that this lady bought her house for $150,000, and she sells it for $250,000. That's $100,000 more than she paid for it. No tax, because the $250,000 in profit. Well, she paid $150,000, sold it for $250,000. Well, you deduct the $150,000 from the $250,000. This is high math here, high tech stuff here. She has a profit of $100,000. There's no tax because it's less than $250,000. So now you're looking at each other and saying, well, yeah, but we're married and filing jointly. Well, good for you. It's right at double that. I think it's up to $26,000 or $26,500. $26,500 off of your income. So if you made the same $50,000 between you, you get to deduct $26,500. We'll call it $25,000. Now you're down to paying tax on $25,000 right off the bat. Take that extra $6,500 off because you're a senior. If you claimed it on your tax return, so if you're doing your own tax return and you don't claim it, I'm going to call you a dumbhead right off the bat. Go kick yourself in the fanny if you don't take it. That's illegal. 100% legal deduction my accountant knew all about. I took the article with me. So there you go. That's what they call continuing education. When they go do that, they bone up on the tax ramifications. So that's a good reason to use someone to do your tax. If you do your own, more power to you. As long as you know all the rules, you can amend your taxes if you forget, but why not get the knowledge and do it right the first time? So, ma'am, no taxes, no capital gains. If you put $100,000, you clear $100,000, it is all yours. You do not have to reinvest like the old days. You had a 2-year time to buy a house the same value or higher or pay that tax. That does not exist anymore. Aha! Hope I cleared that up for you. Well, a senior man asked me this. I have heard that if I die, or they said when I die, not if, that my bank accounts will be frozen by the bank and nobody will have access to the money. Is this true? And I said, most likely it is. Yes, in almost all cases that is true. The banks do freeze accounts because they don't want anybody sneaking in there and writing a check or making a withdrawal because Bob Smith passed away. They freeze it and nothing happens. Bankers, I'm going to tell you this right now, banks read the obits every day. True story. They look to see if they're customers. They have people who do that. Honest to God, true story. So what will happen there? Now, there's a way around that. Of course, Rex figured this out for you. You can go to your bank and sit down right now this afternoon, call down to get you don't need a lender, just get a customer service, a lady or young lady or young guy. That's who does those jobs. And you say, we are the Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and we have some accounts here at the bank. We've got 2 savings accounts and a couple of checking accounts. We would like to make sure that when one of us passes away, the other can deal with that account. They will look at you and say, oh, did you mean a POD on that account? We want to put a POD, that's Paul Ocean David, POD. Yes, that means payment upon death, pay upon death. That means that if Mr. Smith passes away, that lets Mrs. Smith have still, even if it's in their own name, if it's joint account, they're still going to freeze it. That's the way it goes. If you have payment on death, kaboom, you're back in business the same day. You're already in business, not a problem. So that's the story. You need to call down there, and this is very important that you do this. POD, they'll get on their handy-dandy computer, and for the checking account and savings account for Mr. and Mrs. Bob Smith, they will put a POD, flag it with a POD, and you're ready to go. They don't advertise that. I don't know why. More people don't know about that, but POD. Let me give you an example. I was in a dentist chair a couple years ago, and more than that, I guess. And the dental assistant was cleaning my teeth. And she said, did you know my husband had a stroke? And oh, my, no, I didn't know that. And he's 15 years younger than me, so it didn't make much sense, but he did. And so she said, I went to the bank because he bought a new pickup truck. Of course, he put it in his name, the title in his name, thinking, most likely, we don't know, but he's still alive, but he's out to lunch, so to speak. Sorry to say that, but he's not physically and mentally all there, capable of that. So he put in his name with the understanding, with the thought anyhow, that if it's his, it's theirs, type of thing. So she said, I went to the bank. I said, hi, I'm Jane Smith, and I would like to see if my husband has a new pickup truck. He banks here. I'd like to make a payment. And they said, sorry, we can't help you. She said, no, we're customers here, and he has his pickup. I want to make a payment to the bank, and we don't want anything bad to happen. They said, sorry, can't help you. It's Privacy Act. Won't let us tell you, even if he's a customer here. Huh? So she said, well, what am I supposed to do? And the bank said this. You need to come in here. He's passed away. He had a stroke. You need to come in here with a power of attorney. Has he appointed you the power of attorney? No, he hasn't. Well, now he is not in condition to appoint anybody power of attorney. He could appoint himself a power of attorney because he doesn't have the faculty to do it. So now it was a trip to her attorney to get appointed to be the power of attorney by the court, because they didn't have, and rightfully, I don't know about rightfully so, but understandably so, younger, they're at that time, they're probably in their early 50s, if that. So, they're not thinking about these things. The younger people don't. And so she had to go, the attorney had to petition the court, become a power of attorney. And then she went back to the bank and said, here's my power of attorney letter. And he said, oh, yeah, he banks here, and the payment is $652. That's the way it goes. So if you do not have power of attorney, if you are Fred Smith, you need to have you need to appoint a power of attorney. In most cases, you appoint your wife to be your power of attorney. Mrs. Smith, you appoint your husband to be your power of attorney. It comes if it's a medical thing like this, if you've had a stroke, if you've laying on the table and you have the power of attorney, and Bob's had a heart attack, and something has come up, important thing come up, you've already got this power of attorney. So you're all ready to go. And you made the decision on your own when you could. You wandered down to your attorney's office and said, we'd like you to draw a power of attorney. Oh, okay, let's do that. So that's what I have that for on my wife. She would be my power of attorney. Now the power of attorney expires when Fred Smith passes away. That's it. Power of attorney. He's gone. So now what do you do? Well, hopefully he had a will. He appointed someone to be the executor. Then the executor kicks in. So he would reasonably appoint his wife to be executor. His wife would reasonably appoint Fred to be her executor. Not all cases. What if my wife and I are both under the fear, absolute fear, that we would get run over by the cement truck at the same time, and then we're all gone with no kids. What do we do now? So together, if that happens to us on both the same day or reasonably, same incident type of thing, shortly, we've appointed the bank's trust department, a local bank trust department, to be our executor, and they do that all day long. If you don't take care of yourself, folks, it's just going to create a mess. All right. Well, driving to work this morning down to my office like at 0700. What am I doing down there at 7 o'clock in the morning? It's just me. I saw a guy. This is a great story. Plays right into my plan that you all need to get rid of because everybody has too much stuff. It all plays right into that. If you listen to Senior Talk, I'm a complete advocate of getting rid of stuff. So here's this guy. I'm driving down the street. Look over there. I see him. He's out. His pickup truck, the motor's running. He's scraping his windshield. Now, he didn't get 20 below or anything like that, but it still froze last night for sure. He's scraping his windshield. Well, so what, Rex? A lot of people do that. Well, his garage door was up, and his garage was full of, I'm going to be nice and say, good old-fashioned junk. His stuff, whatever his stuff was, whatever it is. I was going by, fairly, not, 30 miles an hour, 25, and his garage is full and the car sits outside. His pickup sits outside. So every morning this winter, he's been out there scraping and getting rid of the snow that we had off his vehicle every morning. And he's got this nice handy-dandy garage, but he's got his stuff in there. Is this you? Is this you? You think so much of your stuff that you let your car sit outside? That's no way to run a railroad. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. You do as you like. It's your. So. I laughed all the way down to my office anyhow. You just never know what you're going to see. His problem is when I went by, he had the garage door up so I could see inside of it. Another little interesting fact that I came up with that I read about is that there was a study it's out right now. It was on the news yesterday that a new survey says that a family needs an income of $320,000 a year to raise 2 kids. Okay, that's based on, I suppose, the cost of everything. I don't have the study in front of me, but you need to have an annual income of $320,000 to raise 2 kids. Now, I'm going to tell you that our day, I've seen it, that they didn't have the whole block didn't. Whole block didn't make $320,000 a year, and there were 40. My mom would say if there are a bunch of, she called it 4011, and there were 4011 kids on our block. None of the men made that. None of the men and or women. I only knew one mom that worked when I was a kid. One of my friends' mom had a job at what is now ACT, and she went to work every morning, had a briefcase, and we said, "Wow, your mom has a briefcase. What's that all about?" It was weird back then, but it's not now, of course. So anyhow, the survey. So how about your family? When you were a kid, your family have $320,000. No, they didn't have probably $320 in the bank. maybe $3,200 in the bank, let alone an income of that. So times have changed, costs have changed, but I thought that was absolutely exorbitant, and it would certainly make you think about, whoa, a lot of families have more than 2 kids, so I don't know what they do. I can tell you right now that my brother did not have to suffer through wearing my jeans. My folks didn't do that. When I outgrew my jeans, they bought my brother his all new stuff. They didn't do that. Bigger families, I know a lot of big families in Corvo when I was a kid. It was that shirt, that jacket looks familiar. Well, that was my brother Tim's until I took it over. He outgrew it. So what? So nobody give a hoot. We didn't care. It just I think I've seen that red jacket somewhere. So that's what it is. So if your daughter and son or son-in-law just got married, or vice versa, they can have 2 kids as long as they're making $320,000 a year. I just think that's a lot of money, and I would contest that and say that in today's world, that if that was our speed, that we could do it for a heck of a lot less than that. Just my observation, and that was according to this study, which is, well, at least it's something to talk about. All right. A nice man called me and was telling me that when they moved the Iowa capital from Iowa City to Des Moines in 1857, which, you know, that this was basically the second capital of Iowa, here in Iowa City. They laid out the ground down there in 1839, and it served as the capital when it got it built a few years later until 1857, and Iowa was growing to the west, and everybody agreed, even the people in Iowa City agreed that it needed to move to Des Moines area because that's where Iowa was growing, the new boundary. So that is. So they loaded everything up and the furniture, and they shipped it there to Des Moines. Well, so to speak. They did load it up and they did take it to Des Moines, but remember now, this was 1855. The railroad only got to Iowa City from the east, from the Davenport area, in 1855, and they didn't go any farther than that for several years. Okay, they just didn't. They couldn't. Get the right of ways quick enough to do that. So they loaded all that stuff up, the desks and the podiums or whatever they would have had back then, chairs. They loaded them up and put them in wagons, horse-drawn wagons. You bet. There were no FedEx. There were no Bob's moving and storage. They hired a bunch of guys with wagons. What am I trying to say? The wagons like you see on TV out of the Old West. Can't think of the name right now. And the way they went. So that part of it is true, but they didn't ship them there, so to speak. They load them on wagons and haul the stuff. Well, here's the problem with that. There's nothing they could do about it. They couldn't do anything about it today. Is between here and Des Moines, here's the real problem. Between here and Des Moines, for several days, it was an absolute deluge and downpour, which created mud, and they had to forge creeks and rivers. There are no bridges back then. They forged them. You had to go across them when the water was low, and they got in real trouble over around the Newton area, and a lot of the furniture was lost in the rain and in the mud. True story. And yes, a few pieces got to Des Moines, but not many. So if you are ever at a sale or you're ever at your Uncle Bob's house, and he says that is an original piece from the old capital in Iowa City that got moved to Des Moines, I'd be very suspect of the background of that. Not questioning old Uncle Bob. That must be what he thinks it is, but I would look into that. Now, if you can find one in Iowa City, we'll say, and they say this is the original one that didn't get moved, that means they knew the story, and it might possibly be. Now, I have a friend of mine who has a piece that he bought that's somewhere. It is documented from the old capital here in Iowa City. It's a chair, and it's in their family heirloom, and he said, my 2 daughters are kind of at each other's throat. They both want it, and he said, that's not going to work, so that's part of the deal. So I just a heads up there that the original furniture from the old capital from Iowa City is few, far between, hen's teeth, so to speak, and look out, as somebody said, it made the trip because a lot of it did not make that trip. So I told that guy that, and I said, thanks for it. He said, well, I didn't know that. And I said, thanks for telling me that. I said, if you have one and you can certify it, you really have a piece of furniture. All right. So a senior man says to me, and he didn't know what he was saying, this would be, to me, I'm going to equate this as a kid. If my brother and I went to our dad and said, we don't have anything to do, we're all caught up, would you have ever said that to your dad? I don't have anything to do, or I got everything done. I mowed the grass. I'm all set. I don't have anything to do. I would never in a million years have gone to my dad and said that, because it would unleash him on time to go paint the fence, time to what he loved edging the sidewalk. You know, you make a little trough on the edge of the sidewalk. God, he loved that. We had some stupid tool he used. He'd sharpen it. You can go down and change the furnace filters. You can go out and sweep out the garage. You can go wash the car. He had a laundry list on the tip of his tongue. We didn't want to deal with that. So ever, which we're going to check. Good. You don't have anything to do this afternoon. Back when I was a kid, we're going to check. Good. We'll change the windows. We'll put the storm windows on. We'll put the screens on. Whatever season. Well, we go, no. We would rather take a mud pie in the face or lay down in glass, you know, than do any of those things that he dreamed up. This before they had any kind of spray of lawn care, so we had 8 million weeds. So we can go pick dandelions. He had a kind of a cutter thing. It was like a long handle thing. You put it and push it down. We had to pick up the dandelions in our yard, about 50 billion of them, put them in a 5. It's Chinese torture, so to speak. Not picking on the Chinese, but it was terrible. Well, this guy says to me, he says, my wife and I, we think we're pretty well set with things. I said, well, good. That means you have a will, you have power of attorney, you have advanced directives for health, advanced directives for finances in case you get injured. You're pretty well set, huh? I said, wow. I assume you could make a call on your wife's cell phone. You have her password, she has your password. Excuse me. You've organized your funeral wishes. You've taken the time to get a real ID. Speaking of real ID, did you read? If you do not have a real ID, if you have not taken time to get the big yellow star on your license, driver's license, is that you, very soon, I think within the next 60 days or sooner, they're going to charge you $45 to get on that airplane. They're going to charge you $45 extra because you didn't take the time to get a real ID. True story. So I said, all right. I said, you've taken a tour inside and out of your house, and you pointed out the furnace room, the water shut-off valve to your wife or your son or your family, the electric box location. You've been up in the attic to look around. You know where the air conditioner is. You know how to shut off the water to each toilet and to each sink. And you know where your lot lines are. You know where your abstract is. You know where all the keys to all the doors. He said, shut up. He said, no, we don't have half that stuff. But I said, you just told me you're pretty well set. Well, folks, it's hard to get pretty well set unless you really, really go for these things, unless you really put that together. There are so many things you could be worried about. Now, if you wake up tomorrow morning, you wake up not waking up, you know what I'm saying? It'll be somebody else's problem, and that's really not to go. So I told the guy, I guess you're really not all set. He goes, I guess not. So I'm sure he's pretty sorry that he mentioned that to me. So it is what it is. Well, next week, I'm going to talk to you next week about the first hotel in Iowa City. It was in 1839. I've got it located, and I've got the article about it over here. And you can drive past it. I'll give you a little homework if you'd like to do that. Let me see what I've got down here. It's up on the north end of town. I got this whole thing ready to go here. Now I can't find where I wrote down the address. I could take you right past it if I want to. It's up on it's at the southwest corner of Brown and Gilbert. Southwest corner, Brown and Gilbert. It's a sandstone color, brown color house. Go there and see. It's been rented to students for a long time. I don't know who lives there. I have no idea. We're going to talk about that next week. That's the first hotel in Iowa City. What was it doing clear up there? All the action was down on what we call the Pentecrest. What's this thing doing out there? Well, we'll find out next week. Next week is for sure. So I hope that things are going well for you. I hope that you're living your good old life as a senior, and I hope you're active. I hope you're well. I would tell you this. Last Friday night, we had a bunch of people. We went to a local restaurant and had a good time, and we all ate, ordered, and had, hoot and holler and sang birthday. And the whole big crowd, everybody, we all sang happy birthday. A lot of the people joined in, even though you don't know the name, everybody joins in for the most of it. 1 week later, 2 of them are in the hospital with heart issues. That's how quickly things can turn. Now, one gentleman's getting a stent put in. He's probably in recovery as we speak right now. Didn't feel good. And so someone said, well, you wonder that restaurant, what do we all eat at that restaurant? Well, it wasn't the restaurant. One was a woman who has an issue, and one is this friend of mine, has an issue. He didn't feel good, a little chest pain, went to the doc, went to Quick Care, and Quick Care says, get in that ambulance, you're going to the hospital. Had surgery the next morning, put a stent in his heart. So that's how quickly things can happen. They're still with us. Knock on wood, but maybe that something would happen just that quick. That's how quickly things can change. That is 100% why these things we talk about on Senior Talk, on the will, and all the things you could do, get busy at your home, very, very important. A couple of things, hints I can give you right off the bat is do your legal work and then start getting rid of some stuff. We've got big spring coming around, spring cleaning. Why do you think they call it spring cleaning? Because in the spring, a lot of things you haven't used for a while. Get a garage sale going, load them up, take them to Goodwill, take them to Salvation Army, donate them to your church, anything like that. It's a big burden off you, and you'll realize that when you do it. The Brandstatters are hard at it, and we don't have as much stuff as people because we really work at it. So we're working at it. So that's kind of what we got going. It's active time is a Heartlanders game all weekend. Tonight, Friday night, and Saturday, I'll be there. Brandstatters will be there. If you run into me, say hi. Absolutely say hi. So I just want you to know there are a lot of secrets in life, but the biggest secret is this. We never know how long we're going to be here. How about my friends that were with us last Friday night? They're still here, but they came close. And by here, I mean, with the health and abilities to live your own preferred lifestyle, not based on a stroke or a new disability or an accident or dementia, blah, blah, blah. So I would urge each one of you to do all you can while you can, whatever your favorite activity is, do all you can while you can, because remember, this is my slogan, is too late may come too soon. Oh, we were going to do that, and then I had a stroke, now I can't walk down the street, or, oh, I wish we could do that, but we can't because my wife can't get around much anymore. So it's time to do all you can while you can, whatever that is. So you can reach me on my senior line here at 319-330-5534, or have an email at rex@rexrb.com, R-E-X at rexrb.com, or just go to Facebook and type in Big Dumb Head Rex Brandstatter, and I'll show up on there. As always, my salute and thank you to each and every one of you who have served, and to all those serving, all those out at Solon American Legion who help sponsor this program, and all the other American Legions and the Veterans Affairs, Veterans Organizations, VFWs, and things like that. My salute to each and every one of you. So that's the story. We've got Valentine's Day coming up. I'm well invested in that so far, and we'll see what happens there. At the meantime, it's a great day to be a senior. Great weather. Get out there and have a good time. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. So long.